Okay, I know you're all still kind of eating and kind of milling in, but we have a lot to get through and a lot of exciting things to do today. So I want to say welcome. My name is Brandi Crockett. I know a lot of you in the audience, so I'm glad to see everybody here in person. And a big thank you for everybody who left their house this morning, braved the snow, the roads, to be with us here today. I'm really excited today. Anytime we can get together and celebrate women in safety, it's kind of near and dear to my heart. I remember years ago sitting around, our table in our office and talking about an idea of a women in safety group. And so, it's fun to see years later that we're here and we're still meeting and it's still thriving. And so it's really exciting. I'm really excited to be with everybody here today. I do want to acknowledge a few people here. We are very lucky to have a very engaged board of directors at the Utah Safety Council. And we have a handful of people here today and some online. So I wanted to just kind of introduce them and point them out. Mr. Doug Martin is here. He's raising his hand right there. He is our current chairman and he works with the LDS Church. And he has always been a great supporter. I've known Doug for a long time and we've, worked on a lot of projects and been through a lot together with the Safety Council. So I'm really excited that you're here and I appreciate your support. Mr. Chris Hill is over here on the other side. He is our past chairman and he is really committed to the Safety Council. He's been here for almost, I think it's 9 years now. So not quite, close, a very long time. But he is committed to us and he's been great and very supportive as well. He did bring a couple people. He's with UWash and he did bring a couple people with him, Evelyn, which right back there, and Kate McNeil. And not to scare anybody, but Kate is with compliance. So, oh, she's not. Oh, okay. Consulting, right? Yes. So everyone say hello to Kate because she is our friend. I was going to tell everybody to be on their best behavior if she was in compliance, but consulting, we're good. I'm just kidding. And then we have Mr. Rob James sitting over here in the corner. He's a new board member. So we're excited to have him. And when he walked in, both John and I said the same thing, like, oh my gosh, you're so tall, taller than we thought, because we've only seen him in a little tiny box on a computer. We've just Zoomed with each other. So it's really good to see him in person and here with us today. And then I know online, I think we have a couple board members that weren't able to join us. Ms. Catherine Clark from WCF and Shauna Cragen. So if you're out there in the virtual world, thank you. And thank you for your support too. And I know we had some people as I was walking around came from quite a ways away. Tremont, we have down in Barney Trucking, it's Salina. So yeah, they really were excited to be here today. So I appreciate you, and everybody that came so far. Just wanted, again, thank you to all the board members that are here and virtual. They're really great supporters of the mission of the Utah Safety Council and everything that we do. So it's a good thing to see them here. I also wanted to recognize our sponsors. We have lots of sponsors throughout the year, but with our Women in Safety program specifically, the Utah Labor Commission, we receive a grant from them for the Women in Safety program and what we're able to put on and promote within that. So we thank them. And then also a new one, I think we do have a representative here from Rocky Mountain Power, but they're a newer sponsor for the Women in Safety group. So appreciate that and everything that they do to help us with this program. Lunch, I have a note to mention lunch, but most everybody's probably eaten that or are eating it, but don't be shy. With the weather, I think we're missing a few people. So if you're extra hungry, you can go back for a second. So that's just fine. And then I know I made an announcement earlier, but we do have that photo in the back. So it's going to be kind of fun to see all these photos from today and then your individual photos. So what we're going to do is after we get our photos back from Candace, our photographer, we're going to send out a link. And so you can view all the photos from today and download any of them, including your own little headshots back there. So now I'm going to introduce Lisa Christopherson. Many of you probably know her. She's been our membership manager for the last couple of years, and she's been a big part of Women in Safety, kind of putting all these events together and speaking with all of you. So she's going to go over some housekeeping stuff with us and kind of run down what the activities will look like for the rest of the afternoon. So thank you.
Thanks, Brandi. So we called Brandi, or I called her on our call with Michelle, the OG Women in Safety, right? So I appreciate all Brandi's support. Her job is to say yes to my good ideas and no to my bad ideas. So I appreciate that. My name is Lisa Christopherson, and I'm the membership manager at the Utah Safety Council. And one of my favorite things to do is work on the Women in Safety program. So today is an exciting day for me. I've been looking forward to this day for almost 2 years, right? The last time we were together in person was almost 2 years ago. So we appreciate you making the effort to be here. I also appreciate those who have joined online. It's kind of cool to be able to have another option now to, if you're going to miss something because of a snow day, you can still kind of participate. So that's exciting. We want to say hello to our friends online. It looks like the sun's out, so I don't think the floor is slippery anymore, but we do have restrooms up here, kind of down this hall. So you're welcome to kind of come up over here, but be careful of the cord, kind of try to stay away from that area. But yeah, be careful of the cord here, but restrooms are up here. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Women in Safety, and then we're going to hear from our guest speaker. After that, we'll get to the main event and kind of the reason that we're here today, the WISH Award, right? So before we start talking about Women in Safety, I quickly want to introduce the Utah Safety Council, because Women in Safety is part of that, right? So first off, we have a couple of team members from the Utah Safety Council who aren't here. We have Cameron Clark, who's our occupational safety training program manager. Some of you guys have talked to him. I know sometimes when we do Women in Safety, it says Cameron Clark would like to, Cameron's helping me. So I appreciate him. And although he's not here today, he's a great support to us and to this program. Theoretically, it does actually fall under him, but yeah, I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. So we appreciate him. Laura Brown is our accounting manager, and she's back at the office making sure it doesn't go anywhere either. She's really great, and she's kind of the backbone. She really helps us with some of those, the website and a lot of those background things that you wouldn't think an accounting manager would be great at, but she's fantastic and we appreciate her. So, so she's not here with us today, but she is a great part of our team. Here today, we have Cassie Henson. So wave hi or say hello. So Cassie is our customer service manager, and she's worked at the Utah Safety Council almost as long as Brandi. But Cassie knows everybody and knows where to go for whatever. So I appreciate her and her support. Amy Figueroa is also here. She's back there with our friends from Stryker. So Amy is our, I gave her the title interim manager. I'm trying to make it stick, but she's our office assistant and basically kind of covers for everybody and does all the stuff that kind of we don't have time to do sometimes. So Amy's a key part of our team and we appreciate her. We mentioned Brandi, and then John Wojkowski, who is our Utah Safety Council president. He's around here somewhere. You can't miss him. Most everybody knows who he is. Thank you, John. And then we have Megan Spackman, who is running our mission control over here. Megan has been so amazing with having our tech support and just having my back personally, and then making sure that Women in Safety is taken care of when it comes to tech and making sure that we're reaching out to everybody. So I really appreciate Megan. She's our mining and refinery safety training program manager. We also have Nicole Rilk, who's back there. She is our traffic safety program manager. So Nicole is part of our team. And if you haven't talked to Nicole about traffic safety or fleet management, please do so because she's a great resource and we appreciate her. Okay. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting? Kenzie Logue, last but not least, right? So I forgot her once before, but I want to just say I appreciate Kenzie. She is a huge part of our team. She's our emergency care manager. If you need to talk to somebody about an AED, she's the one. If you want first aid kits, she's the one. I appreciate her and her attitude. I remember not too long ago, she goes, Lisa, Cameron and I have decided to start having attitudes of gratitude, and we would like you to join us. And I thought that was great. So Kenzie's really good about, yeah, we have a code word. I appreciate Kenzie. Okay, is that everybody? Did I get everyone, Kenz? We good? Okay, so that is our Utah Safety Council team. So the mission of the Utah Safety Council is to save lives by promoting health and safety, education, products, and services. And one of the ways that we do this is by administering different programs. And so Women in Safety is one of those programs. So we try to start out all of our meetings and all of our events with our mission. So the mission, let's see, the mission of the Utah Safety Council, Women in Safety, I do have it memorized, but you guys are a little scary. The mission of the Utah Safety Council Women in Safety organization is to recognize, motivate, and support women in the workplace who've been chosen or been assigned safety-related responsibilities. Women in Safety is a collaborative team that supports women in the safety and health workspace with educational, networking, and developmental opportunities. Members of the organization are committed to encourage, elevate, and give back to women. So that is our mission. So I can't tell you about Women in Safety without telling you a little bit about my Women in Safety experience and my reasons for participating in Women in Safety. So I've narrowed it down to 3 things, and so I want to tell you about that. So I knew kind of from the beginning that in order for it to be successful, that I really needed to engage and get excited and kind of fall in love with Women in Safety, and I'm really glad I did. So originally it wasn't maybe necessarily what I saw in my job description per se, but I'm so grateful that that became kind of what I was responsible for. So when I first started at the Utah Safety Council back in 2019, my first day was about 2 weeks away from our 2019 Wish Award event. And so that was my first experience with Women in Safety. It was a lot of fun. It went really well, thank goodness, but it was a little bit crazy in the beginning because it was something I had to do right off the bat. So what I appreciated was that for Women in Safety, for me, I already had like a built-in support network, right? So what had happened was in 2019, Candy, Naomi, and Joy were assisting with the Wish Award selection. They were on that committee. So after that decision and after that event, I just kept calling them and telling them that we had some meetings, and I kept calling them and asking them for help, and they just kept doing it, and they would show up to these meetings, and you know, we were there for each other kind of during COVID, and I appreciated that they were there and helped me kind of put together how we wanted Women in Safety to be. So I mean, that's kind of my first thing about Women in Safety is it's just a built-in support network. So what we decided to do after they kept showing up, I made them official and asked them to be my steering committee. So Candy Schnankenberg, and she's right up here, wave hi. So this is Candy. She'll introduce herself soon. Naomi Resendez, who's back there. She'll also introduce herself. And then Joy Glad is right up here too. So these guys are, for now, our steering committee. Okay, so my second reason, got our one built-in support network. Second reason is we get to do a lot of cool things and we get to have a lot of exciting opportunities. So this is my little slide that I put together with my favorite things that we've done over the past couple of years. Some highlights for me, we were able to have the Department of Labor, the leader of the Women's Bureau, speak to us, and that's huge. I mean, she's based in Washington, appointed by the president. That was really exciting. We had Dr. Christy Glass talk to us about bias in the workplace, and I learned so much from her. We did a couple events where we had Caroline Gleich come, and she's an athlete and activist. We got to hear from her and learned from some of her challenges, and that was a lot of fun. We've also been able to do some different games and engaging activities. I remember last year for our conference event, we did, everybody could submit an idea and we did this game changer challenge, and it was a lot of fun and we learned a lot. So, and then I think that little picture at the bottom, if you can see it, was just last year's Wish Award event was virtual. It was different to put something together like this that's virtual, but we had a lot of fun doing it and we learned a lot. So it was a good experience, and I hope we get to do more creative things like that in the future. So that's my second reason, is all the fun things that we get to do and all the opportunities that we have. Okay, but the third, let's see, the third reason though is that we can kind of make a difference, right? Women in safety has kind of become a platform for me, and I get to do what I think is important, and I think that's exciting. So I feel like we can kind of make that what we want it to be. You know, there's still a lot of things that we combat when it comes to gender bias in the workplace. There's a lot of, you know, I know last week in the Deseret News, there was an article about Utah being number 50 in the United States for the wage gap. I mean, there's still a lot of things that we need to do to help support other women working in Utah, right? So something else I've been able to do is work with other women's organizations, and I've learned a lot about that. So that is my third reason, is I love to be able to have this platform and be able to have a say in what we do and how we can make a difference. So that leads us to today. I would just invite you to engage with us. I want my women in safety experience to be like your women in safety experience. I want you to feel like you have a network. I want you to do exciting things and have opportunities. And then I would love for you to be engaged. And if there's something you want to do or ideas that you want to have, we're a group together, and we want to honor that. And we want to have you as part of that and hear what you want to do, and let this be a platform for you as well. So that is a little bit about women in safety. Before we hear from our guest speaker, I quickly, in our mission, we like to, our mission is the organization to recognize and motivate. So one thing I want to do quickly before we get to the main event is just recognize a few women that are here today or intended on being here today. So we have some gifts for you. If we're going to recognize a few people, we've got the poinsettia and a gift bag, has your name on it, but I want to quickly just kind of give a shout out to some of these amazing women who we haven't been able to honor or see in the past couple of years. So I wanted to say thank you to Donna Carter. She's from Hudson Printing, and she won the Robert Parenti Award. She's also been nominated for the Wish Award, and she's been such a support for women in safety. She was the first one that signed up, and she's the first one to say, Lisa, I'll be there, right? So I just appreciate that, and it's such a shot of positive energy. Are you here, Donna? I didn't even see you. Oh, there you are. Okay, so yay, Donna. Okay, next I have Melissa Shaw. I don't know, I didn't see Melissa. She might not have been able to make it. But I probably wouldn't recognize her. I only know her voice maybe from hearing her in different classes in the cubicle next to me. But Melissa was, she received her advanced safety certification recently, and that takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of classes. And every so often I would hear her participating and say, Cameron, who is that? You know, oh, it's Melissa. And so it was just kind of fun to watch her go through that process, and it's a huge deal. So I wanted to thank her and acknowledge that publicly. So she might not be here, but we appreciate and recognize Melissa Shaw from Inner West Paper. Okay, so next I have Jalen Sorensen, one of our friends from Barney Trucking. She's back there. Jalen is a woman after my own heart. So she was also nominated. She's been nominated before, and her amazing nomination talks about how there were some new regulations that came out, and guess who had to put things together and make sure those regulations were followed, and that Barney Trucking was adhering to and exceeding those expectations. And that was Jalen. So it was she's done a lot for Barney Trucking, and we appreciate her and we support her, and we are glad that you're here. Thank you for coming all the way up from Salina. So congratulations, Jalen. Okay. Also, this was such a cute picture. Mindy Thurston, also from Barney Trucking. She was also a previous Wish Award nominee. And what I liked about Mindy and what kind of hit home with her was how they talk about how kind she is. She just has this kind heart. She was also a 2020 workers' compensation fund hero, right? So she's done some amazing things, but she went above and beyond, especially over the whole COVID, taking care of their drivers. And I mean, I think she went to even as far as to help with doctor's appointment, making sure that they had the right doctors. They had some Native American people that were needing resources, and that just became one of her pet projects. And she really reached out and made them feel supported, made sure that they were safe and healthy during all of this. And so that was pretty amazing. And so we want to say thank you to Mindy. Recognize her. Okay, this isn't a person, but we also just want to say, I know Brandi mentioned it, but we wanted to say thank you to Barney Trucking. They always support women in safety. They came all the way up here. They're forgiving when we make mistakes. They're really nice, and we just appreciate having them as part of the Utah Safety Council and having them engage with women's safety. So thank you, Barney Trucking. Thank you, Craig. I want Craig to write my nomination whenever I get. He does a great job. Okay. Chris Golding wasn't able to be here, but she's amazing. She's a previous Wish Award nominee. She works at Chevron Refinery, and she's been really an integral part of Utah Safety Council, and she's participated a lot in women in safety. She got her advanced safety certificate in 2009. She's a CSP, and she's who we call if we have refinery questions. But she participated in a class of ours last week and gave some great feedback. But she's just one of those people who knows so many things, who has so much great energy and is amazing. So we wanted to recognize her even though she's not here. So thank you, Chris. Okay, we also had on the list Susan Tolson Stoddard. I know some of you know her as well. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it either. But I met her when I was very new, and she works with Ames Construction, and she's about to retire, but she's done a lot of good there, and they really love her. But she's also a big participant in NAWIC, which is Women in Construction. And so when I was new, I got to attend an event with them. And then she's always been so great to me to let me know what they're doing. And I aspire to get our organization to kind of where they are. So Susan is amazing and has done a lot for Ames, but also for other women in safety. So we really appreciate her as well. So thank you, Susan. Right, and then Abby Milligan, are you here? I didn't recognize you without your poofy hat, right? No, I don't know what color her hair is. No, so Abby is a lot of fun. I enjoyed reading about Abby, and so she was nominated by Tony Christensen from Stryker, and he wrote some things about her. She had a big project when it came to safety glasses, and she had to go through and do a bunch of stuff. When it comes to medical devices, it's a lot of work. There's a lot. Tony said, he told me on the phone, it's just a lot of paperwork, but she had some pet projects with safety glasses and Kappa, if you know what that is, but she's been amazing for Stryker. We're excited to get her involved in women in safety, but she's just a key player. And so we want to recognize her and say thank you and congratulations for all of your achievements. So congratulations, Abby. And then Evelyn, you better get a better picture because I had to steal this from LinkedIn. Evelyn partner is, I would say, I'm going to claim she's a personal friend. She was the first person that reached out to me when I first started at the Utah Safety Council to say, hey, we're glad you're here in safety. She's given me so much good feedback after our events. I really look up to her, and I know I could call her, ask her any type of question. I wish that this picture, I should have taken a picture of your Harry Potter outfit, Evelyn. Like that would have been cute. But I just want to say thank you to Evelyn. She's a support to women in safety kind of behind the scenes, but I appreciate her. And so thank you, Evelyn. And then Kristen is last on my list here, but Kristen was our 2019 Wish Award winner. She's what my parents would call a class act. She is just, she's amazing. I've never seen her sweat. She's always very composed. She knows what this is and what that is. And she engages. Safety is so important to her and her team. We're always talking to people from her office. They're asking questions, wanting more training, but she leads that and she fosters that culture. She also helped us this year with the Wish Award. She was on our committee. And I also had a gift card that she didn't get for her last prize that I was going to give her. But Kristen is one of my favorite women in safety. I look up to her a lot. And I will always remember her Wish Award event because it was my first one. But I appreciate Kristen. I hope she's on. And I just want to say thank you. So thank you, Kristen. Okay, so next up, I would like to introduce you to Naomi Resendez. She is my favorite claims manager at Oakland Construction. Naomi is going to tell us about our guest speaker today. And then following our guest speaker, we will be on to the main event, the Wish Award. So go ahead, Naomi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Naomi Resendez. I am with Oakland Construction. And about almost 2 years ago, I was approached by the Utah Safety Council, and they asked if I would be a part of their committee. It kind of since then has morphed into something very amazing that I'm super happy to be a part of. So if any of you ever get an opportunity to serve as in the committee, I would highly recommend it. I work with some amazing ladies that you'll get to meet in a few, but it's just not a group that we have here in the Salt Lake Valley. So it's nice that we get to see, from inception, and who knows, in a couple of years, we'll look back and just look at this amazing group. So if you haven't attended any of our events, stay tuned. We hope that 2022 brings more awesome things. So today, I just wanted to introduce our guest speaker, Pat Jones. She wears many hats, but some of the amazing things that she has done is she has served 6 years in the House of Representatives. She has also served 8 years in the Utah State Senate, and some of her focus was on education, health promotion, financial literacy. And she also worked with the substance abuse prevention programs. She is the CEO of the Women's Leadership Institute. Now, if you guys have never heard of this, I highly encourage you to look that up. I had the privilege of hearing her speak at an ASSP event a couple of years ago. And so I was very intrigued, and I looked up the Women's Institute and signed up for it. It was amazing. That's all I have to say. So I highly encourage you to look into that if you're able to. So I'm so happy that you were able to be here. We look forward to what you have to teach us. I won't get into everything, but this program really does focus on elevating women in the workplace. And it's a great opportunity for even your employers. I know my employer is trying to make arrangements to meet with her and see what we can change, but it's pretty amazing. So, Pat.
Well, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure being here with all of you. If you cannot see your monitors, please get in a place where you can, because my whole presentation is based on this visual that I hope that you can see. So I'll give you a couple minutes to rearrange yourself if you can't see it. This morning, I spoke at the Utah Outdoor Retailers Group, and it was really snowy. So I had a driver come and pick me up. I live in St. George, and I was staying at Little America, and they were so kind. And then John here came and picked me up, and I probably could have driven up here, but he was so kind to deliver me up here. So thank you, John, for that. Naomi and Lisa, what a great group. I'm so grateful to be here with each of you. So about 8 years ago now, I was asked to come and visit some of our key business leaders in the state of Utah. I was just retiring from the state Senate because we were moving and I didn't want to run again and have to give up my seat. My husband, Dan Jones, some of you may have heard of Dan Jones, our polling company. We started together, 40 years ago. And we worked together side by side all those years. He passed away 3 years ago. Some of you may know that. But it was a wonderful career that I had doing that. I traveled all over the country, but I worked for many of your organizations also as a qualitative researcher in transportation and construction and for the Labor Commission and so many different projects that I worked in. And understanding how important safety is. So I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be here with you, knowing the great work that you do. And, just to go back in time too, we had sold our company in 2010, and they asked me to stay on for 5 more years and help them with their qualitative research. So that was coming at an end at the very same time everything else was. And so I really thought I was retiring at that time, when I was approached by some of our key business leaders in our state, and I went to meet with them, and they said, Pat, we are really struggling to attract and retain talent here because of the perception that so many people, especially outside of the state of Utah, have about women in Utah. And so they cited a recent article in the New York Post that was titled, 5 Places Women Should Not Spend Their Travel Dollars. And those places were Turkey, Indonesia, El Salvador, Saudi Arabia, and Utah. Yes. And the reason, because as was just mentioned, we tend to rank low on several different items. And one of them is women in senior leadership, very few in Utah. Women in politics, relatively few in Utah. The wage gap is quite wide here. There's different reasons for that. And we have fewer women on boards in Utah. So those are usually the measurements by which these articles are based. I tend to think there's a lot of things they're not measuring, and that is our great women in volunteerism. A lot of women choose to stay home in Utah, and those skills are highly valuable. We know that. Nevertheless, if it's harming business, it's harming all of us. And so I was asked to run the Women's Leadership Institute, whose mission is to elevate the stature of women's leadership in business and in politics. And so basically, it took about 10 minutes, this meeting, where they asked me to head this as the CEO of 2 people, by the way. Okay. And I don't really need that title, but it was important to them. And so we've grown a little bit since then. We wanted to change that. And so they basically said, we'll fund you for 2 years, go figure it out. And so it took 10 minutes. I actually did quite a bit of research and found out that Massachusetts had started a corporate challenge called Getting to More. Governor Deval Patrick at that time, interested, especially male CEOs in Massachusetts, to understand that, we've got to do something about that. So I went back there, and they shared a lot of things with me that was based on research, because they had just started it 6 months prior. And it aligned somewhat with what our mission was. And so they shared a lot of things with me. Some of the things didn't work here. And some of the things that we wanted to do, they didn't do. For instance, the political part. So anyway, that's how the Women's Leadership Institute began. We are housed in the Salt Lake Chamber, although we just opened a new office in the St. George Chamber. So it is a statewide organization. We're a nonprofit. But the last 8 years, I have just had the pleasure of understanding if men and women think differently. How many of you believe we think differently? Just raise your hand. Do men and women think differently? Very few women disagree with that, and men. We just know something's different about us, right? Besides the obvious things. So this has been such a marvelous trip for me. The one thing that I love about our work is that we don't blame and shame men. We believe that men are important advocates and allies of women, and that we're working together to deal with these issues that are, affecting all of our companies, our homes, and so forth. So my wish and hope is that when you walk out today, that you will better understand them, for the women, the men in your life and who work with you, and for men, your spouse, your partners, and the women that you work with. Does that sound okay? Are you good with that? Plus you get lunch. So, how good is that? Can't get any better. So I have titled this The Additive Value of Women. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was asked to present to a very large group of automotive, so general managers of auto dealers. It was in Palm Springs, so that wasn't too bad of a gig, but I was only there for one night, so it wasn't that great. But imagine talking to 99% men about why it's important to hire women throughout their organizations. But this is what it looked like for me. And this is not atypical, when I'm asked to speak to a lot of them are industries that you're in, construction and mining and, all these different places that tend to be led by men. And nothing wrong with that. That's how, things have worked for so many years. But what I'm going to do today is to help you understand the value of gender diversity. We hear about, we've got all this DEI, we've got diversity, equity, inclusion, we're starting this group and so forth. But what I want to do and what I have found works is to help people understand why it's important and the value of it. So listen up. You mentioned that men and women think differently. Most of you raised your hand when I asked you that. This is just a couple of examples. The first one is how we pick out paint. Okay. How we look at things. If we're remodeling our homes, women see maybe salmon, men see orange. So that's one example. Another one is how we pick shampoo. Okay. And I had one guy say, really? Yeah, that was in my hotel. If it says shampoo on it, I'm good. That's all I need. Women, it's a little different. We tend to think a little differently, a little bit more complex. But the fact of the matter is, what you'll find is that women make 85% of the consumer decisions. So they're purchasers. So to ignore half of our population who makes most of the consumer decisions is at your own peril. I think it's higher than that. Having worked in that industry, in the research industry for so long, I would interview women in focus groups and then men. And they're like, I don't really know, but I'll have to ask my wife, how you do it. Even when you're buying cars, it's the same thing. It's highly influential. Women really make a lot of purchase decisions. So very important that you have that input when you're doing R&D, when you're choosing your products and your services, how to deal with people. It's really important to know that. We have complementary differences. This is not about one being better than the other. I cannot highlight that enough, that one is not better than the other. And that's what I'm hoping you'll walk out with today. However, when a negative experiences it happens to all of us. We have a bad service or we don't like the product, breaks down or whatever. When customers feel valued, they tell a few people. And when they don't feel valued, they'll tell other people too. For instance, this was some data from the Gender Intelligence Group, whom I work with quite a bit. On average, when men have a negative experience with a product or service, they tell on average 3 people. These are people that they know, they're their friends. On average, women tell 32 people. And these are people they don't know well. It might be on an elevator. And that is actually getting more paramount because of social media. So women talk about things. They talk about, if you're not happy with the service you got somewhere or the product you got, they're going to tell other people. So you better, dang well better, make sure women are satisfied with what you sell. So what we've found is that some people say we need to walk out with what is our goal. Our goal, and for the Women's Leadership Institute, is to help people understand the value of a critical mass. It is not good enough to have one woman on your board, for instance. You really need a critical mass of at least 30%. A lot of research shows this. You'll have the benefits of women on your board, your committee, in your teams, if you have a critical mass of 30% or more. I saw this when I was especially in the Senate. I was oftentimes the only woman on a committee. And my experience is in that of so many other women who tend to be the caregivers, not all the time, but they tend to take their children to the school or have more interaction with schools or healthcare or buying tires. I mean, we make decisions, we have experiences, and that input is critical to the success of companies. But you can see who's making these decisions as you move up in a company. It tends to be fewer and fewer women. At the entry level, it's just about equal numbers of women. In fact, more women than men enter the workplace. But as they move up, you're seeing fewer and fewer in top levels where those decisions are made. So why does it matter? That's really why we're here. We want to know why it matters and how it matters and what we can do about it. Women in leadership bring value. Tons of research out there on this. And one of them is the monetary benefits. They're finding that boards that have at least that critical mass, 30% women, have an increased return on equity. Women added to executive teams means increased value creation and profitability. The stock prices rise when more women are in senior leadership. And more women in senior management means better company performance. So I could go on on that. There's all kinds of data. It's not just jaded by one person or group. It's a lot of compiled data from very reputable studies. One of them was from the Zenger-Folkman group out of Orem. They're recognized internationally as leadership development. And they did, someone's ringing. Hello? No problem. One of them was from Zenger-Folkman, where they measured competencies of male and female leaders. So they did 60,000 interviews with people who worked for men and women, throughout their careers. And they rated them, as you know, as 360s, where they interview several different people, maybe 8 or 9, who work for a certain person. And what they found is on the 15 competencies that they measured, that women outperformed men on 12 of the 15 and tied with men on 2 of them. The only one where men outperformed women was on strategy. And so if you want to increase your chances of having very competent people in these fields, which is really what a lot of our companies are looking for today: leadership, speed, establishing stretch goals, champions change, collaboration, teamwork, etc. It really would behoove you to consider, in a very specific way, looking at some female candidates, because this is a really important data. And these are the skills really that companies are looking for. I've done research of CEOs of tech companies and others, and what they're telling me is that I had one say, I want an engineer with a personality. Like, yeah, those are soft skills, just the importance of being able to speak in public, because right now engineers are speaking to the board. They're speaking to international leaders. I need someone who can write a cogent sentence, in a way that people can understand. I need problem solvers, critical thinkers, people that are persuasive. You think about these skills that are really needed today, maybe not so much when I was younger, but in today's society, that's what we're looking for. Make sure you have women on those teams. So there is some emerging neuroscience that does indicate that in fact, women and men do think differently. So it's not just our knowledge, our gut doesn't just tell us, yeah, we're different. There's now some new science that can show, and one of the neuroscientists I met with at the University of Utah said, yes, it's subtle, but it's how our neurons are clustered in our brains that are a little bit different. And let me just give you an example of that. What he said, and other neuroscientists are finding this too, is that men tend to, now not all men think alike and not all women do, so we'll have that disclaimer, but men tend to think front to back in their brain, which means that if there's a challenge or if you have something you're trying to solve, you have a problem in front of you, men tend to want to go right at that problem, get it solved immediately or sooner, and then move on to the next thing. Okay. Have you found that to be the case? It's like, get her done. Women, on the other hand, work more closely, our corpus callosum, right and left brains. So this is why women tend to be a little bit more able to do multiple tasks at the same time. Okay, so our brains are busy kind of figuring out the problem and how to find them based on these different, it's almost like a pinball machine in a way. So sometimes it takes women a little longer to come up with a solution, but guess what? Oftentimes that solution is more complex and more comprehensive. And so this is not to say one way is better than the other. It's to say they're different and they're complementary. And so notice that when you're in a meeting, you men, if you're in a board meeting or you're with your group, and there's one woman, don't discount her. Make sure you call on her. Hopefully there's more than one woman. Hopefully there's a woman or more, so that you can get the advantage of those kinds of skills. But, have you found this to be the case with decision making? That men tend to want to move on. And sometimes women's voices are either not heard or they're discounted. And so really important that we can do that. So when I was showing this to some other groups, there was some data that showed that men use left and right brains sequentially. So one thing after another, as if looking through binoculars. And with women, it's more like a kaleidoscope. So there are all these different pieces of information coming together at the same time. And one time a banker, when I was presenting this, said, it's kind of like a man's brain's like a waffle and a woman's is like spaghetti. I thought, that's good. Yeah, both good kinds of food. But I think it kind of shows us a different way of presenting this. So there are different parts of the brain, and there's just three I'm going to talk about: how men's and women's brains. Some of the science is showing how we're thinking differently. In the anterior cortex of the brain, women consider a wider array of options and solutions to an issue. Have you found that's the case? If you have a real problem you're trying to solve, if you bring in, women think of it a little bit differently, and for the very reasons, and this is very elementary, a lot more complex than I'm presenting, but it's different. As to a woman's intuition, it's a real thing, okay? Women are able to more easily read facial expressions, for instance. So if I'm let's just say a car salesperson, women can tell if this person's a real buyer or not more easily than men can. So think about that in your businesses, how that would benefit you to have those kinds of complex abilities to be able to, sell your product, to work with other people. It's a real benefit to have that. Let's go to the hippocampus for just a minute. It enables women to more effectively process and code emotional experiences into their long-term memory. This is where we talked about the left and right brain. That's bouncing around from the different memories that we have. Sometimes we can even smells or sounds or those sorts of things really go into this decision-making. It makes more women more innovative and creative in finding solutions. And then it can contribute to perceptions of indecisiveness. Have you ever thought, and you men, you don't have to raise your hand, but why doesn't she just get to the point? If you think that you're like others, a lot of them. Insula, it forms an emotional response to our surroundings, and it helps women draw on past memories and learn from them, preventing women from acting hastily and taking unnecessary risks. Okay. Have you found that to be the case? So if you have a financial advisor, you're going to probably have different experiences with the man and woman. By the way, women financial advisors is one of the fastest growing industries. And what we found is that 70% of, if the husband passes away first, the women will change financial advisors and want to use a woman for that. So it's very interesting. So some of this is based on how we deal with stress. As you probably know, cortisol is the stress hormone. And we all feel stress from time to time, don't we? Especially this morning, trying to drive for some of us. When we have a very stressful experience, women tend to want to talk it over with someone. So we've had a very stressful day. It's like you kind of want your tribe, or you want people that you know, maybe at your work or your home, to kind of talk it through. It literally, for women, tends to reduce that cortisol level, and it increases the oxytocin for women. For men tend to want to have some time just alone for a minute to process their stress, either on screen time or driving or watching a ball game. And it's normal for that. Men's cortisol levels decrease when you have that time to just be alone to let things process. You can see the crash collision. If you have, say, as maybe a traditional home, which is becoming more rare, as we know, but where maybe the woman is home watching the kids all day, the man's at work, both feeling stress. He comes home, needs some downtime. She needs to talk it over. Kind of see a collision there. You know, there's a reason for that. This is important in the workplace too, so that you can be aware. This is what it's all about. Understanding why people behave the way they do and where you can reach them where they are and what they're experiencing at the time. This is probably one of the most important parts of my presentation. I get a lot of people that really thank me for this. This was based on some fairly extensive research by the Gender Intelligence Group. They wanted to know, among men and women, what are some of the challenges that men face working with women today? And what challenges women face working with men? Some of you are in very male-dominated industries, and some of you are not. Maybe it's a little bit more balanced. I was really quite surprised at the challenges that men feel, but it's helped me and to know that it's valid and that a lot of men do feel this way. And it's helped me be a little more sensitive as I deal with men in the different industries, and puts me on notice that I need to help them feel a little bit better about this. So I'm going to give you the top 5 for the men and top 5 for women. Okay, so the first one and the most paramount one that men reported is that they feel they have to be careful how they interact with women at work, walking on eggshells, have to be careful about what they say, what they do, whether to allow, you know, an alone, you know, you have lunch with a woman, you know, what will people think? Will that look bad? That's a real thing. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's a real thing for a lot of men. They feel that way. And other things. Number 2, men are concerned about what they perceive as reverse discrimination. It's a zero-sum game for some men. It's like if I hire a woman or, you know, intentionally hire a woman, that means my job will go away. And it's not that way. It's like growth. It's like, you know, when I had my second child, my first one said, you won't love me anymore. You'll love this baby more. That's not true. It grows. I mean, this is really important that we know that this can help elevate all of us. The third one is that men fear harassment allegations. I know what you men are thinking. You're like, yeah, I felt that, but I don't want to raise my hand. Yeah, you do. And men are confused about today's rules. Should I open a door for a woman Can I compliment her on how she's dressed? You know, these rules, most of you men grew up in households where you were taught to be thoughtful of women, open doors and things. And then all of a sudden you get to the workplace and it's different. It's confusing. And so, and then finally, men want to be part of the solution. Men feel blamed for things they didn't create, oftentimes. So this is so helpful for women to understand that a lot of men feel this way. And so we can help by acknowledging that you might feel this way, but I can get my own door, or, hey, I'd really appreciate you opening the door for me. You know, that blew me away. It's like, really? But a lot of men feel that way. So let's go to the women. What do you think the women's biggest challenges are? First one is women feel dismissed. Now, I love when I say this one because all of the heads that are female in the audience go, yeah, it's happened to me. You could tell everyone would have a different story, but it's basically when you're in a group and you offer an idea or a solution to a problem, and they're like, okay, thank you. Let's go on to the man. And then he says the same thing. And they're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. What he just said. And that's just one example. There's many women, things that happen to women. So just be aware. Number two, women feel left out. You know, these casual relationships that a lot of men have especially in male dominated industries where they'll go to a ball game together. It is not intentional. You know, men don't purposely leave women out. Sometimes there's assumptions that, oh, she wouldn't go even if I asked her because, you know, she's got kids at home. But if it's golf or it's a ball game or it's whatever, that is where a lot of promotions happen and start, is building those relationships. And it's super important for men to be aware that women like to be invited and included. This sense of belonging is really important to all of us, but women in particular, especially if they work mostly with men. Women feel scrutinized. You've probably heard all of the data that show when there's a job opening, there's 10 different requirements that women feel like they have to check every box. They have to be not just good at it, but really good at it. And men are like, oh, I'm good at 2 of those. I can do the other ones. I'll figure that out. Very common. Women feel that they have to act like men in order to advance. I've never had one man ever say to me, I wish women would act more like men. You know, we need to bring our own experiences, our own innate competencies to the table as women, and it will make our world a better place. And then finally, women are concerned about tokenism. Nobody wants to be picked for something just because of their gender, their color, where they live, their economic status, their religion, you name it. All diversity ends up being good. So we talk a lot about gender diversity, but really diversity is really a good thing for all of us to think about. So companies are finding ways to make transformational change. And this is really what it boils down to. I've kind of synthesized this for everybody. It's intentional. It's authentic. It's initiated from the top. This does not work to have a DEI committee and have a woman run it or a person of color run it. That takes everybody off the hook. I'm dealing with amazing companies throughout the state of Utah whose leaders, half of my board is men, by the way, and not just them, but they're really just emerging as leaders throughout our state. And then they're making change internally. It's integrated throughout the organization. It's dynamic, which means it can change. It's measurable, and it's driven by men and women. We're working together. So very quickly, the Women's Leadership Institute is a business-led 501c3. We work with companies and help them change, motivate them to change, inspire them to change, and help them actually change. We do that through some of our programs. Our career development series, by the way, has been amazing. It's a cohort that meets once a month for 8 months, and women can be sponsored by their companies. And we have faculty members who teach anything from creative thinking, all kinds of leadership skills. And I can't tell you how, and these are women that are mid to senior level, how women feel when they're invested in like that. It means so much, and it means they stay, and are in the pipeline. We also have one for the political development series. We've trained 250 women to run for political office throughout the state of Utah. But we do believe that men are essential allies and advocates for women, and we created and help organizations implement the Elevate Her Challenge, which is our trademark. And the Elevate Her Challenge is something every one of your companies can take, does not cost anything. We put your logo on our website, and guess what? Women are checking that website when they're moving here or when they're changing careers. They're like, I want to work for a company who finds this important enough. That's where I want to work. The Elevate Her Challenge is not prescriptive. We don't make you give us your numbers. It doesn't cost anything to take the Elevate Her Challenge. We have almost 300 women or 300 companies in the state of Utah that have accepted this. And some of them you know real well, some of them are smaller companies. And it's to increase the percentage of women in senior leadership, to increase the retention rate of women, to increase the number of women on your board. By the way, these things don't happen overnight. We realize that. To monitor pay by gender, establish and enhance mentoring and sponsorship programs. There's a difference between sponsors and mentors. Sponsors are, it's much more effective. Sponsors are there when you're not there to advocate for you. They watch your back and they advocate for you. Mentors are great too. They don't have to be in your industry or your company. They're just people that help give you advice. But if you really want to make change, you have purposeful sponsors in your company, and watch for that and invest in the women in your company. And then finally, recruit women to run for public office. And you're like, why is that one in there? Number one, it's our mission. But number two, not just even winning, running for office and serving in public office is the best leadership development training anybody can get, but especially women, for the very reasons I talked about. You have to learn how to speak in public, how to write, critical thinking, problem solving, all of these skills that companies are looking for, homes are looking for. So I can't tell you how important it is to reach out and think about the women in your life who would make great public servants. And you don't hear about the great positive things in politics anymore. And it's a wonderful experience for everybody. I would highly recommend it. And so our political development series is right in the middle. Tomorrow I teach our 4th month this year. So we've trained a lot of women to run for office. You'll see more and more women run. So I would recommend using the Elevate Her Challenge as a template to build trust and communication. A lot of companies that have taken the Elevate Her Challenge, this is so cool, it was organic, are bringing in small groups in their own company, maybe 7 or 8, and having lunch with them. These would be the CEOs, leadership, and say, we've taken the Elevate Her Challenge. Here's what it is. Where are we on this? Where should we go? What should be our goal? And how will we measure that internally? You will be absolutely stunned at the new conversations you'll have. You'll develop trust in your companies. You'll develop leaders. You'll have better outcomes, and you'll have better understanding with each other. This is one of the benefits of the Elevate Her Challenge, which again, does not cost anything. The data are, I will show you how to get a hold of us to take that challenge. Another thing is to understand why women really leave. When you do exit interviews, a lot of people don't do exit interviews, but we make assumptions that women are going to leave the workplace because they have people to take care of, kids, maybe senior parents and so forth, which is true, that happens. But the real reason that women leave, if you do a deeper dive, is that women don't feel valued. 68% said that is the reason that I left my last workplace. Women feel excluded. And remember the stress we talked about? That's a lot of it too. A male-dominated environment and lacking opportunities. Those are the real reasons. You notice we didn't mention salary, although that's important. It's not one of the top things. So there's some actions you can take right now. I'd like to leave people with, hey, this is I don't want this to be doom and gloom. It's positive, hopefully. But what can I do right now? One is to increase the diversity of your pool of candidates. Okay. And number 2 is to build an intentional leadership pipeline. It's really helpful for women if you say, I eventually see you in this role, X, Y, and Z. What can I do to support you and invest in you? Women are like, I can't even tell you what that means to them. Part of that is that's one reason we have our career development series, is for that very reason. That is one thing we do charge for. It's $995 for 8 months of training, which is amazing. And they are getting just incredible scores and feedback on that. Avoid pigeonholing women in certain roles. If you're leaving your lunch on the table, don't assume a woman's going to clean it up. Offer to do that. But we'd have pigeonholed women into certain roles. And a lot of women are not just wanting to be in HR all the time. Maybe that's where they'll start and they'll move out to other places within the company, which is really beneficial. Men are doing that too, by the way. Make sure women are heard when participating in meetings. Be patient for the responses. We've talked about that. And validate their contributions. Include women in your casual networks. I mean, we had golf in here a lot. The Women's Leadership Institute, I would go out to different companies and find them, a lot of the men gone and the women were there. And the men are out doing a golf tournament. I'm like, why are you not out there? Well, I don't, wasn't invited, or I don't know how to golf, whatever. Well, golf is the language of business. It is, whether we like it or not. So we started the golf tournament / clinic about 6 years ago. We'd have 220 women maxed out to come to the clinic. And then some are really good golfers with playing the scramble. Last year, our organization was selected as the exclusive charity partner of the LPGA Symetra Tour at Copper Rock in Southern Utah. And so I got to be in the Pro-Am, which scared the heck out of me. I'm a terrible golfer, but guess what? She was a pro. Awesome. It was such a good experience. We'll have that for the next 2 years. So golf is the language of business. Provide safe environments for employees to have open and candid conversations. This will happen if you do this with the Elevate Her Challenge. If you take the challenge and you talk to your teams about it, I promise you that you will have conversations that you wished you've been having for a long time. And then actions to take now: set a goal of 50% board that are female. And of course, we like other diversity as well. And then finally, this one, if you women can see this, I had a woman go, that's not fake. That's my closet. Embrace work flexibility and family-friendly policies. That's where we are now. We're seeing it everywhere. And you know what I found? Men are wanting this too. You men, you grandfathers, fathers, men in general, you want to go to the soccer game too. You want to go see your kids play. You want to go to the baseball game. You want to go to dance recitals, music recitals. That's what our families want. So what's good for women is also good for men, because men are wanting to take advantage of these wonderful opportunities too, and have more flexibility in all of our work life. So when do you think men start thinking about women's leadership as a thing? It's when they have daughters. That's when they start thinking about it. And this was my final one, but during COVID, I walked Liberty Park down here just about every day because it kind of saved my brain a little bit. And I ran across this little girl once. You could see it was probably in March or something like that. And she was with her mother. I asked permission to take a picture of her, but I just loved her shirt. The future is female. I love her moon boots. And I just thought that's kind of where we are. Women are not going to substitute for men, but the future is female. The future is intentionally thinking of how we can elevate the stature of women in business, at home, understanding the value of women at home and the things they do and the contributions that we make as volunteers, and also in politics. So there's our contact information. Our email is and our website is WLI, that's Women's Leadership Institute of Utah, WLIUT.com. We would love to have your companies, if they have not already signed up, to take the Elevate Her Challenge. It's harmless. It's all positive for you. And I'm happy to talk to any of you too. If you, I would be, my name and phone number would be on the website. So thank you so much for listening. And Michelle, congratulations on this wonderful honor to you. and the other women that were nominated, and the work that each one of you does in making our state a safer place to do work. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pat. We appreciate your message and what you and the Women's Leadership Institute do for working women in Utah. On behalf of the Utah Safety Council and Women in Safety, we would like to present your organization with a donation. So here's that. And then we also have a poinsettia and a gift bag for you as well. I don't know if John will drive those on the way back to St. George for you, but we would like to give you one as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Okay, where's Candy? Oh, she's ready. Okay, next up, I would like to introduce you to another one of my favorite people, Candy Schnakenberg from Care Now. She's also a Utah Safety Council instructor as well. She does a lot of great things for Utah Safety Council and Women in Safety. So she's going to talk about the WISH Award. So Candy.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. By the way, I know my last name is very difficult to pronounce, so you were close. It's so my name's Candy Schnockenberg, so she was very close. And I do work for Care Now. We're an occupational medicine clinic, so I am the OCMED sales rep for all the locations here in Utah. We were formerly First Med, so some of you may recognize First Med. I know we've done work with a few of you here, so just know I'm still there with Care Now, and you can still reach out to me if you need me, okay? But in that role, I do get to talk with lots of safety personnel, right? Because they're utilizing our clinics for on-the-job injury care. And so just being a part of the Women in Safety group in general has just helped my job tremendously too. I not only get to network, right, but I get to meet amazing people that I can look to for advice. So that's one of the main reasons I love being a part of this group. Not necessarily just because we're all women. There's some men here too, but it's just fun to network with people in your same industry, especially one that is a little more male dominant, but hopefully we're going to turn that around, right? So thank you for being here today. As you all know, this is our award event. We do this annually every December. So we hope to see more of you here next year. But just to give you an idea of what the award actually is. So we call it the Women in Safety and Health Award, so WISH for short. And we do this every year. We ask that companies submit nominations to the Utah Safety Council on any woman in their workforce that they feel meets these qualifications. So shows exceptional performance in a leadership role, involved in implementation of safety culture change in their workplace or industry, demonstrates creative excellence related to safety initiatives, and positively impacts the safety and health of their workplace and or industry, contributes to Utah Safety Council's overall objective of making Utah a safer place to live and work, of course, and then has also participated or even created a unique safety initiative for their employer. So those are kind of the qualifications. You don't have to meet every single one of them to submit a nominee, so just know that. One thing that we do love when you do turn in an application for a nominee is we like to see pictures. We like to really visualize what that individual has done for the year, okay? And then I'm just gonna quickly go over our past winners. So we started this up back in 2008 with Miss Sadie, who used to be the membership manager at Utah Safety Council. And then as Lisa mentioned, she kind of came on in 2019, and we've just been a part of the organization ever since. So our first winner, her name was Natalie Kattis. She is the CEO of Kattis Enterprises, and she did amazing things. She was nominated I can't remember if it was her husband's dad, I believe, was the owner of Kattis Enterprises, if I remember correctly. And Natalie had no business experience, didn't go to college, didn't, do any of those things, but noticed they were not as busy, right, as they used to be, and business was kind of going down. So she took it upon herself to read and take courses and learn how to ramp things back up, right? So she came up with a lot of innovative ideas of how to cut costs while increasing production, implemented a safety culture, right? Because that it can be a big expense for an employer, doctor bills and all the other things that is for those of you in the transportation industry. If you have, a motor vehicle accident, that not only requires treatment sometimes, but then you got to do a drug and an alcohol test. So these kind of costs build up quickly, right? So that was the reason she won in 2018. It was great to see her and have her. She did a lot of great things for Kattis. And then Lisa already mentioned Miss Kristen. She was our 2019 winner. She does work for Salt Lake City Corporation, and she did great things with the city as well. She's newer in the safety program, but she dove right in and built a culture to where her team and the people that she manages the safety of, mostly public works, respect her and acknowledge her advice and make changes in the safety area, reporting incidents more. One thing I loved about Kristen was she wasn't afraid to get down and dirty with her team either. As you know, public works, they do a lot of the street maintenance, right? Digging holes, some of those kind of things. And she'd jump right in the trenches with them and, review an incident that may have occurred and then come up with an idea of how to prevent that in the future. So I thought that was really neat that she wasn't scared to, do the same things that her guys are doing, just to show that she cares, right? And she's there to make a difference. So that's Miss Kristen. And then last year, I don't see Han here either, so she must not have been able to make it, but Han, she works for OC Tanner. She was our winner last year. We had to do the event virtually, but it was still a lot of fun to recognize and award her. She did great things as well for OC Tanner, safety wise. She implemented a lot of different things in the safety culture there. One of the things I really liked is she created little memes, posters, right? And kind of hung them all around the OC Tanner with safety quotes and some of those kind of things. And I also love that she even went above and beyond and outside of her organization and put together a safety crosswalk from OC Tanner. Is it on State Street? Remind me. I know it's a busy road, right? That it's right there. And a lot of people, there was a lot of pedestrians getting hit trying to cross over to the other side of the street. And so to help keep her employees safe that needed to cross the street and the rest of the community, she worked with the city and was able to put in a crosswalk and crosswalk signs there. So that was really neat as well. But that was our past three winners. I just kind of wanted to give you some ideas on the qualifications that the steering committee does look for in honoring. It's so hard to choose though. Every single year we probably have 3 meetings to go through the applications and really narrow it down of who we want to pick for the year, because you all are so amazing. So it does make it very difficult, and I appreciate everything you do for not only your companies, but for the rest of the community in terms of safety. And now I'm going to introduce Joy. She's also a part of our steering committee, and she is actually going to go over our winner and introduce her and present the award. So thank you.
Good morning. Or is it afternoon yet? I have no idea what time it is. Do you want me to forward this or that work? See, they use technology. I'm old school. So to introduce myself, my name is Joy Glad. I work at Dynamic Safety Environmental, which is a consulting group. I'm an instructor at the Utah Safety Council, and I am privileged to be on this steering committee. This has been a fantastic thing for me. But what I want to ask for you is to look around the room. Look at the people sitting beside you. Look at your tables. Who's sitting there with you? These are the women who inspire me to be part of Women in Safety. This group not only allows me to network and learn new skills, but to meet and get to know a wonderful group of people who I know have my back. While our experiences are unique, each one of us can understand and empathize with the struggles and successes we in Women in Safety have had. Each of you make me a better safety professional. So thank you. So on to the fun stuff. I'll start with a quote. It is said that with every success, one takes oneself to a whole new level in life. A wise person converts success in a positive way and does good to the society. Unknown. So I'd like to introduce Michelle Mcdermade. She is the DOT and Compliance Manager for Wheeler Machinery Company, Campbell Companies, and she embodies safety. She uses her skills and training to make sure the people she works with are taken care of. For example, an employee was leaving Utah to complete some field work. This employee understood the gravity associated with the Department of Transportation regulations, and Michelle had set some time aside to help him with his logs. Got to follow all those federal rules, right? And I'd like to read a quote from the email to Michelle and an email to Troy. Troy is her manager. To Michelle, he wrote, I wanted to say thank you for going the extra mile in getting me set up and trained for my drive to San Antonio. I was more nervous about the logbook than the actual drive. To Troy, he wrote, Michelle had scheduled an hour time slot to go over the electronic log, but we spent well over that hour getting me ready. She made herself available over the weekend to look over and give me feedback on my log. She went above and beyond. Michelle is known for many things. Her brothers call her a character. Her coworkers believe she is kind and tough. But after spending time with her dad in the machine shop, Michelle has learned to be a risk manager. It's in her nature, and it's one that she has instilled upon her two children. Michelle is a serious person when it comes to work and safety. She has worked at Wheeler Machinery for 22 years and has worked positions in the service department, repairs and contracts before making the big leap into safety 16 years ago. Michelle Mcdermade was nominated by Troy Worthen, safety manager, because, and I quote, we are safer because of her. Michelle manages several hundred DOT drivers, develops and conducts training, including scripting, filming, and editing safety videos watched by employees every single day, and tests too. She's done those. Michelle uses her leadership and expertise to mentor drivers, allowing millions of miles to be driven every year without incident. Michelle is a first responder at Wheeler Machinery. Not only does she aid employees when illness or injury strikes, she also encourages, organizes, and schedules others to become first responders. Michelle loves what she does and wants to make a difference, but she doesn't rest on her laurels. Michelle conducts emergency preparedness meetings and develops and improves company policies and procedures. She also attends workshops, conferences, and other events to keep herself on the cutting edge of safety. These are just a few reasons why Michelle is being honored today. Her dedication to helping people and positive approach to safety make her an excellent safety professional. Through the years, Michelle's toughness has been a great asset in her work, but little do people realize. This tough woman has a soft and melty center. Michelle loves everything Disney, especially the always misunderstood Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Michelle thinks that she and Stitch have a lot in common. And let's just say, it's a good thing we're not showing any puppy videos today, or we'd need lots of boxes of Kleenexes. And you would never guess that tickets to a Metallica concert could make her cry. For a recent birthday, Michelle was gifted customized tickets to their concert in Las Vegas. Michelle's lovely husband created special tickets with his picture wearing his CPAP, pulling a funny face when he handed her these tickets. Okay. So with her feelings rising to the surface and in front of all of the family, Michelle had to overcome her confusion to figure out that the tiny print on the CPAP spelled out an amazing evening for the two of them together. The people in Michelle's life, family, friends, and coworkers have helped shape the safety professional you see before you. But her dedication, encouragement, and willingness to go outside the box have created an environment full of safety where those around her can flourish. And so, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to present the 2021 Utah Safety Council's Women in Safety and Health Award to Michelle Mcdermade. I forgot one thing. Troy and I talked, and he would like for me to pass on the message that Michelle is the bee's knees.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm afraid I'm going to drop it.
It's very heavy.
It is. Thank you to the committee and everyone in Women in Safety and the Utah Safety Council. I love all of the support that you bring to what I do and what we all are trying to accomplish. And, I really want to thank my family. They have supported me and kind of been my biggest cheerleaders, along with my manager, Troy, who offered me an opportunity and made room for me at a table that was mostly male dominated and made opportunities for me to be heard and for my ideas to flourish. And so I really genuinely appreciate that. So thank you. And thank you to all of you for showing up today in the crazy snow. And I just appreciate the support. And, I thought about what can I do to help women in safety, and being a resource to the women coming up through the ranks at Campbell Companies is what I think that I can do. And I want to be a resource to them and reach out to them as they start there looking for their footing. And I hope that I can do that. And I hope all of you do that for the women in your lives and make it easier on the men in our lives and not beat them up too much because we love them. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Michelle. Thank you so much. We're so excited. Thank you for being amazing enough that we can have a party and celebrate. We appreciate your contribution, and we're excited to have you as part of Women in Safety. Something that really struck me about Michelle was she's the kind of girl, she doesn't know how to do it. It doesn't stop her. She'll figure it out and overcome that challenge. And I appreciate that about her. So congratulations, Michelle. Thank you. Congratulations to you. So next up, I'm going to have, John Wojkowski, our Utah Safety Council president, is going to say a few things. Then I will just give an update as to what's coming up next, and then we'll be done with the talking and done with the day. So welcome, John Wojkowski.
Yeah, my name is John Wojkowski. And I don't want to get this wrong. At 12:47, okay, I get a text from Brandi. It says, it's snowing, the roads are bad, schools are closed. Don't panic. We're coming up with a plan. Everything's going to be okay. So I drive into work, and as you know, the roads are horrible. It's a crazy drive from Ogden to the Utah Safety Council. But I get to the Utah Safety Council, and of course, it snows an extra 3 feet there, and it's totally snowed in. I don't know how they got into the building, but I walk into the building and Megan's running around and Kenzie's running around and Nicole's running around and Amy's running around like this well-geared transmission, and they're just doing their thing. We're behind schedule, but I don't point that out because that would be a bad thing to do. But they're running around the building and they are gathering stuff up that needs to come up to the facility today. And they're fine. You know, it is what it is, and we're doing our job, and we're gonna get things going. Oh, I forgot to mention that Cassie, she's outside in her non-snow boots. I think she's in her dress boots and a dress, and she's shoveling the walks so people can get in and out, because of course there's still classes going on at the Utah Safety Council. And her big worry is that the walks are shoveled because she doesn't want to get in trouble by Salt Lake City for not having them shoveled. So she's doing that. And then I start my way up here and I get a text from Lisa. And Lisa sends me the text to remind me that my only job, and not to screw it up, is to go down and to get Pat and to bring her back up here. In the same text, oh yeah, by the way, the catering truck has gotten stuck in the snow, it is jackknife on the road, but don't panic, everything's gonna be okay. So, and everything was okay. I get up here and everything's, again, like a well-geared transmission, everything's coming up and put together. Candace is here taking pictures. The nice people at Red View Garden have everything ready. And my point is that Women in Safety is produced by Women in Safety. I mean, this thing, my job is just not to get in the way and screw it up. So with that, I just want to give them a hand and say thank you. They did an amazing job putting this whole thing together. So. And Pat, how great is Pat? So I went and picked her up and she's amazing, easy to talk to. And our drive up here, I think we solved a lot of problems with us men. So we'll talk later. But thanks, Pat, for being up here. And it's our pleasure to have you. And we'll be reaching out because we'd love to have you back at some point. So thanks to Pat. And then Michelle, if you can't, for some reason, go to that concert, I'm in the market. An amazing accomplishment. I did sit through the selection committee process, and it was very competitive. You know, all the nominees that are here today, you should all be proud of yourself. You guys are amazing women in safety. And, you know, I just want to thank our sponsors, the Labor Commission. You know, as this has been going for about 5 years now, as this program is scaled, the Labor Commission has been with us every step of the way. As we get bigger, they support us more, and the sky's the limit. I'm excited to see what Lisa and Brandi and the whole female team of the Utah Safety Council continue to do to make this program thrive and do great things in the future. Congratulations on the award. Am I done? Am I good? I don't have a script, so I'll just sit here and talk and talk and talk and talk. But thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here online. Our intent is to make this bigger and better next year, but we'll stay safe, be safe driving home. And I think my time is up. Thank you, Lisa.
Just a couple quick things. Thank you, John. We truly appreciate your support of women in safety. You know, I talk about making women in safety what we want it to be, and that wouldn't be possible without John recognizing the value of our mission and doing everything in his power to support us. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to work on women in safety. I do want to mention quickly that our next event is going to be our annual reception at the Utah Safety Conference and Expo. So this year it's going to be March 30th and 31st, and it's going to be virtual, but it's going to be amazing. Some of the cool things that we've been able to do virtually, we're going to lean in on do some engagement stuff and have a really cool kind of guest come. So watch for that, but make sure that is on your calendar. Okay, I also just wanted to say as well, unfortunately our signs didn't make it because of the snow, but we appreciate the Labor Commission and Rocky Mountain Power. We definitely would not be here without the support of people who understand and support our mission. The Labor Commission has been so great, and they're so supportive, and they want us to realize our potential and do what we can to elevate women in the workplace. And so we definitely appreciate that. And it's been fun to have a new sponsor, Rocky Mountain Power. So we're looking forward to working with them a little more in the women in safety sector as well. Okay, so we are very grateful for our sponsors. Once again, thank you to my Utah Safety Council team, especially Megan and Brandi. I also want to say, Brandon, thank you for being such a strong partner and my best friend. Thank you for making what's important to me a priority. And then I just wanted to say I enjoyed seeing everybody today and hearing from Pat. I thought it was especially fun that I got to be the one that handed Michelle her trophy. I also really enjoyed being in this beautiful garden today, even though it's such a crazy day outside. So Brandon can probably tell you, but we're at a garden today, not because I like gardening. I am not a gardener, but gardens are beautiful. Gardens represent growth, and we all know that growth isn't easy. It takes a lot of things to come together, and we're always growing. So let Women in Safety be a resource for you, and let's grow together. Before you leave, take a minute to think about what we talked about today and what you want your Women in Safety experience or your journey to look like, and then let's make it happen. So once again, thank you, Utah Safety Council, Utah Labor Commission, Rocky Mountain Power, and congratulations, Michelle. We'll see everybody in March.